One of the things that we do a lot of around here is tearing up pallets. One of our jokes is that pallet is an ancient Anglo-Saxon word that means free wood. In addition to being free, one of the nice things about pallet wood is it is rustic and it's easy to make look old. Unlike store-bought wood, which can be very uniform in appearance, pallet wood tends to be a little bit more rough, has more coloration, more defects, and of course you'll have nail holes. One of the big reasons that our pallet operation is successful is that we bring them in large quantities, all of one style. To do this, we have arrangements with large companies that bring in materials on single-use pallets that they simply need to get rid of. So by hauling off their pallets for free, the companies we work with save money and we get free lumber. Because all the pallets we bring in are the same, we can easily sort the materials salvaged from them, store them, and have them available for use. As our inventory of different parts ebbs and flows, we simply design more products to make out of what we have on hand. So whether it's the thin material on the bottom, the thicker material on the top, or even the blocks, we find a use for everything we salvage. We make everything from tiny crosses to wooden bowls and vases, all the way up to full-size storage buildings. Let me show you how we tear apart pallets and the tools we use to do it with. When it comes to tearing apart pallets, you want the thinnest bar that you can get with a long arm to give you power. I have several different hammers that I use, including a large framing hammer all the way down to a trim hammer. Tearing apart pallets is all about working steadily, and if you get to the point where you're breaking too much stuff, it's time to stop and take a break. We also like to de-nail everything as we go along because it makes our stacks neater and it takes less time to sort later on. Sometimes a board just isn't going to come out whole. As you can imagine, we generate a lot of blocks. If you look closely, you can see that the nails on this center board have been bent over. It's difficult to get the board off, and it just takes a slow and steady pressure to do it. All right, that's most of the work on the first pallet. I'm going to finish pulling the nails from this one, and I'm going to work on that entire stack over there, and then we'll come back and show you some of the things we make with the parts. Now that that whole pile of pallets has been torn up, it's time to get down to making some stuff. I do want to point out that although we get a lot of material tearing up pallets, there's also quite a bit of waste, and we end up pulling a whole lot of nails. So let's get this out of the way. And now we can get down to making something. In this particular pallet, there are 18 boards plus the blocks. Of those 18, one and only one is an extra thick 1x4, which is what we're going to use for our first project. Because it uses the heavy lumber, I really like this tray as a rustic project to make from pallet wood. We have made a lot of these over time, and so we have templates pre-made to help us set the saw. All of the cuts in the main part of this tray are compound, which means they're cut at 2 different angles. To get these cuts, we've beveled the saw at 32.5 degrees and we've angled it at 28 degrees. We know these by long practice, and we keep samples to help us reset the saw every time we want to cut them. Once all the main cuts are made, we glue and nail the frame together. We then go back to the saw to cut the bottom pieces. Because all of this material is inconsistent from pallet to pallet, we always want to measure and check our fit as we go. Once the entire tray is assembled, we go to the long belt sander to flatten the bottom. Round the edges. And do a little bit of extra rusticating. In our normal production work, we'll make a stack of these all at one time and then let the glue dry before we take them to the finishing line. Our normal finish for these trays is General Finishes Van Dyke Brown, watered down by 75% and then sprayed in an irregular pattern, top and bottom. Depending on the look we're going for in a particular order, we may also mist the trays with black or another color to give it a little bit more depth. We use these trays in our store quite a bit to display smaller items. They're also great for tablescapes and for catering. So now let's look at some projects we're going to do in a later video. This footed tray is something that we've made hundreds of for one of our clients. Because we make so many of them, we've been using store-bought feet, but for the project we've got coming up, we're going to turn our own. This also uses a 1x4, but we're going to use the regular thickness one for our project. Another project that we're going to do to get rid of some of these blocks that we have is this riser. It's great for both display and serving, and it's hard to beat all that free lumber. We will continue to do projects using free lumber that we get from a wide variety of sources. If you know where to look, there's free lumber everywhere. If you're thinking that pallet wood is only good for small projects, don't forget about the buildings that we make, and look at this display case, all of which, except for the shelves, was made from pallet wood. If you're interested in this kind of project, subscribe to our channel, watch some more of our videos, and if you're ever in the area, come and see us in Decatur, Texas.